Next up, we have Jahmyr Gibbs, the running back out of Alabama, who is a very exciting prospect, to say the least. And you put on one game of film and you'll be hooked, right? There's a lot here to like, and we'll hop into some of these size and whatnot right away before we get into the film, but just a very, very fun prospect. So as far as the size, he's 5'9", 199, which is a little bit on the smaller side. That was one of the slight disappointments of the combine. He was listed at 5'11", came in at 5'9", but it is what it is, right? I don't think height's the biggest deal at running back, but it can come into play at times, I suppose. As far as really where he makes his money, though, it's the speed. It's the 40. It's the 4.36. He is an absolute burner, right? He's a home run hitter to the highest of levels. And really, you know, when you look at the stats here, that speed accounts for almost all of it, right? He's just an absolute freak. And I think, honestly, just the Alabama team as a whole left a lot on the table as far as these numbers are concerned. I felt like Jahmyr could have got the ball much more than he did, just based on the effectiveness and the yards per carry. I mean, 6.1, you literally could give him the ball every time, supposedly, right? That's what that tells you. Of course, that's a little bit of a hyperbole or an exaggeration, because those averages would probably go down over time, but 151 carries, 6.1, that's nothing to scoff at in the SEC, with great receiving usage. I mean, you see that there are 44 receptions. We'll touch on his ability through the air as we get into the film here in a little bit, but yeah, just very impressive all around. And I thought that his numbers could have been even better if they leaned on him more. I think part of that was it was his first year in the offense. So as far as what I think he does well, for me, the first thing is his vision. I think this is severely underrated from what I've seen as far as people covering Gibbs. I think that so many people just look at him and say, oh, he's a good receiving back, right? Some people just, he keeps on getting compared to, Alvin Kamara. Well, I think when you're doing that, not necessarily the Kamara comp, but just saying he's a good receiving back, you're underselling his ability to diagnose things at the line of scrimmage, show off some patience in doing so, finding the right hole, exploding through that, and then at the second level, setting up defenders, working off their leverage, his blockers' leverage, right? Just the whole package into one. For me, I thought Jahmyr and his vision, his anticipation, the patience, it was all very solid, right? One thing, if we go back to one of my recent videos, was Devon Achane, right? And he's a little bit faster than Jahmyr, right? He was a track star, so it's not a surprise necessarily, but Achane just hits, he goes 0 to 100 every play. He mashes the gas as soon as he gets the ball. And, to me, that's not the best way to use the speed and acceleration. To me, you have to be a little bit measured, and then once you see the hole, you go. And to me, that's what makes Jahmyr so special, is that even though he has similar physical traits to, some other guys here in the draft, his ability to use them, to me, was maybe the most impressive. And, yeah, as far as just the pure speed and excel is concerned, I mean, to me, he's just electricity personified, right? He's a home run hitter to the highest of levels. He can change a game in one play. He can go 100 yards every time you give him the ball. He's just an incredible athlete in that regard, and I think he uses it very well. As far as the agility is concerned, to me, his ability to cut and set up defenders without slowing down was perhaps the most impressive thing. A lot of these shiftier, speedier guys, they waste a lot of time going east and west, right? They're going to try and make you miss laterally, but they're going to have to set you up and bring you back, and like, it's this whole long, drawn-out process. No, Gibbs gets right to it, right? And to me, that's maybe the number one most impressive thing about his change of direction ability. It's the speed by which he doesn't lose when he's doing it. So you have this guy who's running a 4.36 down the field. He doesn't have to slow down to a 4.7 just to juke and change his footpath, right? It's just instantaneous. It's really impressive. That said, power, not so much, right? Just not his game. And that's where I'd say he's a little bit more specialized, right? He's not a guy who's going to put a shoulder down and run through you. He's more so going to try and run around you, right? And he does so very well, but it is what it is. As far as the balance is concerned, I thought I was impressed, You'd think, oh, well, he's not very powerful. How's he going to be able to withstand contact? Well, look at him, right? He's doing it. I think maybe that comes back to the lower center of gravity, things of that nature. But to me, an ability to extend plays and run through some of those arm tackles, maybe it was just because he was going so fast into them, but it was very impressive. As far as the pass blocking, there really wasn't a ton of negative reps from what I saw and what I was able to capture for you guys, but I don't think that Alabama even really trusted him enough to be on the field in that regard, right? But where they did trust him was out wide and out of the backfield as a receiver, right? Because this was really where he's impressed the most people, and I did give him a 10 out of 10 on receiving, which is the highest grade I've ever given in that regard, and the only time I've ever given that grade. I just think he has, McCaffrey or Kamara ability out of the backfield to get open, to haul the ball in when he's open, to make guys miss after the catch, to run, the entire route tree. A lot of these guys you'll see, they're just going to run these lazy flats. Well, no, he's going to run an angle route right at you and create 4 yards of separation. And when he doesn't, he's going to bring in a contested catch. Just very, very solid in that regard, right? It felt like no matter what he did, he was making a difference as a receiver. And like I said, I feel like he could have made even more of a difference. Bryce Young really made it a point, at least from what I was seeing on film, to keep his eyes downfield and extend plays that way. And there were so many of them where Jahmyr was just sitting in the flats waiting for the ball. And he could have, I wouldn't have been shocked if he could have had 60 receptions on the year with ease if he was with a quarterback who was maybe more willing to just check the ball down quickly. And in that regard, yeah, overall, I think Jahmyr is an absolute, I don't want to say slam dunk of a prospect, right? Because there's always some element of mystery surrounding these guys. But for me, he is my RB1. I'll be honest. He's not as well-rounded as, say, Bijan. He's not. He's not as powerful as, say, Charbonnet. But I think the areas where he is, where he does do his damage, I think there's almost not a nit to pick, right? When it comes to the speed, the agility, the pass catching, the vision, I don't think there's much for me to really take away from him. So even though his grade is a little bit more specialized, per se, there are some low grades. There's the power, there's the pass blocking, right? And things that I don't expect him to necessarily improve upon. To me, the high grades are high, and they're high for a reason. So, hey, that's my running back 1, right? Like, I think those are things that are going to translate. And for me, that is that would actually make Jahmyr the first running back I've given a first-round grade to over the past 3 years, and 40 running backs that I've graded. That puts him a little bit above ETN, a tad above Bijan, and yeah, right above guys like, say, Charbonnet, who I have as an upper second rounder, or if we go back a couple years, Javonte Williams, Breece Hall, right, like that whole next class running backs, guys who have all been really successful. I thought Charbonnet popped more on film, even though the production and the stats weren't always there. I really think that if you put him into a role that fits his abilities, right, if you don't ask him to be our short yardage power goal line back and stay in to, block every play, I think whoever gets Jahmyr, especially if it's in round 2, is going to hit quite the home run in the NFL draft here. I don't know if I expect him to go in the first round, I'll be honest. Running back is just such a tough position, but you can even see there my running back position premium, which is, what percentage of the grade is reimbursed back into itself, right? To try and portray basically how valuable the positions are relative to each other. Running back has the lowest position premium, and even with that number, he still gets into the first round for me, which is an 82.50. So, I don't know if he's going to go there. It's rather rare that running backs go early. It seems like Bijan's going to be, the one who does for sure, which I slightly disagree with. I think there's some more, I don't want to say room to grow as far as the game is concerned, but I think rather than just all A pluses across the board for Bijan or all A's, I think there's a lot of B pluses, right? And a lot of A minuses. Whereas for me, I think with Jahmyr, there's a couple A pluses, a couple, C minuses, D's that you're not even going to look at, and you're just going to use him and maximize his strengths and mask the weaknesses. At least if I was drafting him, right? Hopefully, hopefully he doesn't go to a team that does otherwise. But yeah, I think pretty much no matter where he goes, he's going to have a role right away. And especially in the modern NFL where things are only opening up more. And, running backs are being used even more just as general weapons out of the backfield. Like I said, kind of like a McCaffrey or Kamara. I think he has that level of ability and skill to be next in line. I really do. This is going to, this might be where you can give me an old takes exposed in 3 years or something. But, one note that I had in my notes was that, I wasn't scouting when, say, a Jamal Charles was a prospect. But I think there are shades of that as far as the talent as a runner, right? I think everyone always talks about Jamal just being this elusive speed demon. Well, I think they missed, to me, what made up that, which was a lot of the vision, some solid balance. He was more physical than you thought, right? And I think a lot of those things kind of shine through with Jahmyr for me as well. So I really do think that this is a very good player, a phenomenal player, in fact. And if you told me in a couple of years that he was a Pro Bowler, an all-pro caliber guy, I wouldn't be shocked in the slightest. He's my running back 1, and as I said, the highest running back I've graded over 3 years' time. So I'll be excited to see where he goes, especially if he goes in the late first round to an already good team. It's game over, I think. I think if you put him on a team with a good O-line at the end of the first round, it's over for the rest of the league. I'll be incredibly excited to see what he's able to do as far as just not only on the ground, but also through the air. I'm not going to come out and say, oh, he's going to be 1,000-yard guy. But I think depending on how you want to use him, he could be either and could be close to both. There's really an element of, there's really 2 elements to his game, and I think both are very solid. And compared to the rest of the class, I mean, he really stands out in that regard. There's other guys who are fast. There's other guys who can catch. There's other guys who have good vision. Other guys who are pretty agile and can change directions, but no one, to me, that puts it together quite like Jahmyr. So he's my running back 1. I would say if you agree, make sure you leave a like, comment, subscribe. Don't think there's very many people out there like that. Seems like Bijan really has taken the world by storm, and I get it. He was incredibly productive and everything in college, but just tell me what your thoughts are on Jahmyr. If he's not your running back 1, where is he? Is he your 2? Is he your 3? Is he your 4? Do you not think he's top 10, right? Are you worried about his size? What is it that you think holds him back? Is it just the lack of power and pass pro ability, or do you think that from what I consider are his strengths, do you think they're not quite as strong? That would be an interesting discussion to have. Like, do you think there are holes in the vision? Because personally, I didn't see it. And even though, that Alabama O-line is pretty solid, right? They can open some big holes from time to time. Even when they didn't, I thought his ability to create space when it felt like there was none was very impressive. So, as I said, that's pretty much all I have for you guys in this one. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. And I will hopefully see you guys in the next video. I'm mic'd up, now I'm mic'ing out. Peace, guys. See you next time.